किसी की मुस्कुराहटों पे हो निसार, जीना इसी का नाम है. Kachra can outperform quality. I lost 100% of all what I had invested. He is not God. Growth, growth and growth. Hi, I'm Nilesh Shah. I'm a student of the market and I'm on my mission to ensure that every Indian gets financial security.
What do you think are the three most defining problems around people that leaders should solve for in the coming decade?
Essentially, it is growth, growth and growth. The first has to be inclusive growth. We can't have rich becoming richer and poor left out. The second has to be accelerated growth. For all of India's problem, the solution is growth. And third is green growth. I can't destroy tomorrow for my today. I have to face my kids in the future. So if we can create growth, growth and growth, which is inclusive growth, accelerated growth and green growth, India's problem will be sorted out.
And what's your take, Nilesh, on the Indian entrepreneurship ecosystem exporting to the world on leadership?
So I think Indians were businessmen long before business was invented. And there are series of entrepreneurs who went and conquered Africa, who went and traded with Java and Sumatra and Bali. Unfortunately, we don't know about them. But in the modern entrepreneurs, one has to learn from Tata's how to do business responsibly. Jamshedji Tata even today remains the world's largest philanthropist. One can learn from Ambani how to dream of scale. One can learn from Amul how to create inclusive growth. Amul has made India from net importer of milk and milk products to world's largest milk producer. So there are so many entrepreneurs from whom we can learn. And I will say learn even from someone like Aravind Ai, which does cataract surgery and eye surgery at the lowest cost and yet has the highest quality in the world. I think one thing which India can teach to the world, highest quality, lowest cost.
Nilesh, how do you think your formative years impacted you as a professional and as a leader?
I lost my father at an early age, and your real instinct was that let me go and start working and earn money. I was really lucky that I got a principal who said, no, you are going to study, and as long as you top the class, I'll pay the fees. So I've studied on someone else's support, and that has really formed that you have to support others. You are here today because someone supported you. Now it is your time to give it back. And I'm lucky that I am in a mutual fund business where I can earn money for people. Yes, there are some people for whom I have lost money, but majority of my clients I have earned money. And that's my way of giving back to the society.
What creates self-doubt for Nilesh Shah? And what do you do and how do you overcome it?
So my boss gave me a very fine mechanism to cover self-doubts or any conflict of interest. In the life, there are 4 quotients. The first is Ram quotient, where objectives and means to achieve those objectives are dharmic, noble, pious. Do the right thing for the right goals. But we are all living in Kali Yuga. So there is a Krishna quotient, where goals are always right, but means to achieve those goals sometimes could be shortcuts. So never compromise on the goal, but if you have to take a shortcut a while, then do it. The third and fourth quotient, never go there. The third is Duryodhan quotient. Duryodhan's goals were always wrong, but the means to achieve those goals were right. So never adopt a right route for a wrong goal. And then finally it is Ravan quotient. Goals are wrong, means are wrong, disaster. Never venture there. So always try to figure out, am I in Ram quotient? Am I in Krishna quotient? If yes, go ahead and do it. If you are in Duryodhan or Ravan quotient, stay away from it.
What is that one significant failure that has taught you an important lesson about human beings and people?
I was a very successful fund manager at Templeton. And one day my boss called me and said, Nilesh, we need to prepare an investment process. And I said, what process? I am the process. I have outperformed everyone by double the margin. What more do you want? And he said, let's go for a cup of coffee. Instead of teaching me in office, he took me to a restaurant and he said, today you are managing 100 crores. Tomorrow you will manage 10,000 crores. Today you are managing yourself. Tomorrow you will have a team. Would you not like to have a process? Will you trust your people like I am trusting you? And that was a very good learning. I think the importance of process, the importance of discipline, that's something I taught on that day. And till today, I have tried to follow that as much as possible. Talent is needed, undoubtedly, to succeed, but discipline is also needed.
When do you admit as a leader to a mistake, and how do you break that news to your stakeholders?
So as soon as you realize you have made a mistake, it's better to admit it. We had launched a fund called Global Innovation Fund 3 years back. Even today, it is below par. When did I realize it was a mistake? Not that when it was below par, I realized it was a mistake. I realized it was a mistake when one of my colleagues told me that there's one analyst on the distribution side which had said that this fund is high risk, high return fund, not low risk, high return fund as we had envisaged. And that made me thinking what mistake I had committed. And we realized that, we ended up picking a fund which was higher risk and higher return rather than lower risk and higher return. We have shared it with our partners. Fortunately, the fund itself has now corrected their portfolio. So as soon as you know you have made a mistake, better to admit it. Making mistake, no worry, just don't repeat it.
How does one evolve into becoming a true leader of people?
So essentially, a leader is a person who can have right EQ as well as IQ. IQ is to finding out what is right and correcting when you make something wrong. EQ is to ensure that 1 plus 1 becomes 11 and not 0.
And what, according to you, Nilesh, is a very underrated quality in leadership today?
A leader is someone who gives right feedback in a right manner. Today, many leaders are afraid of giving the feedback. And many leaders, when they give the right feedback, they don't necessarily give it in right manner. So give right feedback in a right manner.
Nilesh, what's AI going to do to leaders and leadership in the asset management industry?
So when Garry Kasparov played Deep Blue in 96, he could win 4-2. 97, Deep Blue defeated Garry Kasparov. Eventually, AI and ML will conquer fund management. And only those fund managers who will use AI and ML to better themselves will be able to probably fight against AI and ML.
Nilesh, what can the new age entrepreneurs of today learn from the older generation of leaders?
Learn from Tata's about how to take care of entire ecosystem, from employees to stakeholders. And I still remember reading where Tata family pledged jewelry of their women so that salaries can be paid at Tata Steel Jamshedpur. That's something which you can learn.
And what's that common myth around career advice that you've heard but completely disagree with?
So many a times I was told that leadership is about action and not words. I think words also are needed. There is a proverb in Gujarati which says, Teji ne takoro ne gadheda ne dafna. That means if there is a horse, you just nudge it. If there is a donkey, you have to hit it. Leadership is about words as well as action. Of course, you talk less and do more.
What is your 3 pieces of advice to somebody taking on a leadership mantle for the first time?
The CEO job is different cup of tea from being CIO or being sales head. Number 2, as CEO, please set up KRAs for your team members. Instead of doing work for them, you have to delegate, monitor, but you can't be doing their work. And finally, as the CEO, focus on many other aspects which as CIO or sales head you probably didn't care as much. For example, compliance. For example, brand management. For example, investing for future. So as a CEO, your cup of tea is totally different from what is CIO or sales head doing.
How should I manage people with data or instincts, and how do I develop better instincts as a leader?
There is a tagline for a drink, डर के आगे जीत है. In fund management, data के आगे instinct है. There are different ways to get instincts. For me, meditation works. When I'm with myself, my instincts are with me. But you have to find your own way of getting those instincts. The simple answer will be listen to yourself.
What are the parameters today that you measure leaders on versus, let's say, a decade ago?
So a decade back, taking shortcut was quite acceptable. Today it is not. So you are measured on how you are complying with rules and regulations. Number 2, a decade back it was all about individual success. Today it is about team success. In the past, we were focused on leader. Now we are focused on the team because it is team which sustains.
3 simple words that describe Nilesh Shah's leadership style.
1, integrity, intelligence, impatient.
Nilesh, as you've moved from managing money to managing people, what have you had to learn and unlearn in that process?
So in Templeton, as a fund manager, it was all about individual success. I wanted to outperform all my peers. When I moved to ICICI, it was as CIO. It was about team success. I wanted my fund house to be the best fund house in the industry. When I moved to Axis and Kotak, it was about CEO. Yes, I wanted to do well, but without taking any shortcuts, by complying with all the rules and regulations, by leading a team where I am a coach and a captain, but I play within the boundaries. I don't commit fall.
Do you feel there is something you would wish you knew more of about leading people?
Undoubtedly, with the benefit of hindsight, I would have not committed many errors which I committed while growing. My boss told me very nicely, if there is a table, it can have square corners. It will hurt people. But if the same table had round corner, it won't hurt people. I wish I was more round in my formative years and not square.
Nilesh, do you feel there are traits of a good leader that you can imbibe more of in your leadership style?
So if by nature you are a square corner, yes, you can polish yourself, but you are still at point of time, at certain point square corner. I hope I become a round corner. The second is I'm living too much in the present and not focusing on future as much. As a leader, I have to invest for the future. I have to prepare for the future. In a disruptive world today, focusing on future is critical. I hope I can improve upon it.
You manage many prima donnas and fund managers. How does a CEO go about giving them feedback?
So one, each of them are different individuals. You can't treat all of them at one go. Second, you have to convince them that you are always there when they are down. If they are succeeding, go ahead and take credit. You need not share it with me. But when you are down, I'll be ahead of you. I remember in ICICI Prudential, there was a certain decision taken by a fund manager which resulted into some sort of questioning from the board of directors and so on and so forth. And he could come to me and say that, Nilesh, this has happened. I said, fair enough. Now you are not part of this process. I'll take it over. When you put yourself in front of your employees when they are down, automatically your leadership quality is established. Everyone in the team knows that I have a boss who will have my back.
As a money manager, what have you learned about human behavior and people?
I have lost money for people several times. In 2008, we had lost 60% of our value. 2013, no difference. 2020, no difference. As long as you are honest with people and people can trust you, every time you lose money, they'll give you more money because they trust you. People think we are in the business of managing money. No, we are in the business of managing trust.
What are 2 values that you relate most about in the Kotak culture? What are 2 things that you'd like to infuse more of in Kotak AMC?
So one, for us it is always client first, and second, no shortcut. What I would like to do more, invest for future, and second, have ambition for scale.
As the CEO of Kotak Asset Management, what's Nilesh Shah's daily routine?
So one, there is routine stuff, which as a leader, you have to keep on doing it. The second is being available to people when they need help. It could be your investment team, sales team, marketing team, compliance team. But you should be available when people need you. And third, you should spend some time to reflect what you have done today so that tomorrow can be better.
Nilesh, can you tell us about some different mentors or significant leadership influences in your career?
So in Templeton, we were first mutual fund in the entrance in the 90s to have bad debts. That would have ended our career as a fund manager. But Templeton gave us a second chance. We corrected our mistake, and instead of managing credit, we went in managing duration and generated return for our investors. So leadership lesson number 1, people do make mistakes. Give them a second chance by correcting the strategy. In ICICI, when we had joined, it was on the back of a poor performance in 2000 industry had lost confidence of investors as technology fund dropped by 80%. We worked hard to regain that trust. 2008, when markets corrected, no one blamed fund managers. People believed that they put in their best foot forward. The rest was up to the God. In Axis, I was on the sell side. And sell side is a very, very competitive business. If you see all sell side's pitches, all of them are number one. If everyone is number one, who is number two? Sell side is about half-truths and deal making. In that business, I realized again value of speaking truth. Everyone is smart enough to understand when you are speaking half-truth. When I came to Kotak, again, it was with a passion because I missed buy side. And it was with a purpose that we want to do what is right for client. I think all along, trust, passion with purpose, that's the success model.
Do you have a favorite book or a podcast on the subject of leadership that has empowered you with very actionable insights?
So I have always found Mahabharata and Ramayana something to imbibe in life. Not that I have imbibed everything which they have taught, but from the ocean of knowledge which Mahabharata and Ramayana is, if I can take few buckets, that's good enough.
And if Nilesh could trade places with anyone in any industry right now, who would it be and why?
So in school or college, you always wanted to trade places with number one. While there are many great players in mutual fund industry, the number one has been Prashant Jain. Formidable CIO, humble, connected to the ground. If I can trade place with him, well, that will be my luck.
Who's a leader from a different space who you look up to, and what are you learning from him or her?
So again, it's not about people, it's about attributes. I really want to learn from the startup founders how to not have fear of failure. I still remember Sourav Ganguly showing his t-shirt in Lord's balcony. I think that was a fantastic thing. I come from a generation when Gora used to call us, we used to stand up and take the phone. When I saw Sourav Ganguly doing that, it really removed my inferiority complex vis-a-vis foreigners. Today we manage money for them on an equal footing. I don't suffer from that inferiority complex. So learn from people across the world about what is the right thing to do.
Is there somebody Nilesh Shah has been itching to meet? And if you could, who would it be and what would you ask them?
Again, my knowledge is a bit limited, but 3 Gujaratis I would like to meet. One, Jamshedji Tata. How a priest's son in Navsari could dream to become world's largest, highest philanthropist. What made that journey possible? Second, I would like to meet Dr. Homi Bhabha. He came from India, which was underdeveloped, which was not a force in science. And yet he was at the cutting edge of frontier. He was standing head to head with people like Albert Einstein. Third, I would like to meet Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. Something similar in the mold of Dr. Homi Bhabha. He could think about space and rockets and satellites when India didn't have money. With all the constraints, Dr. Bhabha and Dr. Sarabhai laid foundation for a modern India. What gave them that vision? How did they execute without constraints?
Nilesh, what's the end goal in Chase and what powers you to work every morning?
You know, in my job, I get money as well as blessings from people. So my aim is to provide financial security to every Indian. And I strongly believe mutual fund is the only way.
Nilesh, your quick fire with Qunba starts now. A leader must always dash.
Be honest.
A leader should never dash.
Cheat.
2 must-have traits for a leader under Nilesh Shah.
Integrity and empathy.
2 must-have traits for a fund manager under Nilesh Shah.
Intelligence and ability to stand against the crowd.
1 thing in your job you want to get better at.
Round, square to round.
What would you prioritize more, future investing performance or investing principles?
Principles, because I have no control over outcome. Process will determine outcome.
If not an investing professional, Nilesh would have been
a teacher probably.
20 years ago, money for you meant
everything.
Today, money for you means
I can spend that to create better society.
A secret vice nobody knows about you.
My wife will have a long list. but I think I'm impatient.
Your most prized possession is?
A fountain pen set which my relative gifted when I was the gold-medalist chartered accountant. All the important documents which I sign, I still use that fountain pen.
First thing Nilesh does in the morning and the last thing he does at night?
First and last thing is meditation,
Morning person or night owl?
depending upon the requirement.
If you were to restart your career, what would you pick? Private equity, venture capital, or listed equities?
I would have never gone out of mutual fund.
The future of investing is active or passive?
Both.
Passive funds, NPS, or gold?
NPS.
How much real estate should a person own?
Depending upon your risk profile and goal, but no more than 25% of your portfolio unless until you are a builder.
Your biggest investing error?
Lots and lots, but my starting point, I lost 100% of all what I had invested, and I had borrowed money to invest, so it was actually more than 100%.
3 most common investing blind spots?
Kachra can outperform quality. There is money to be made through trading, and long-term investment is for others, not for me.
Leading or investing, what's more fun?
Investing,
Nilesh's favorite workday time waster?
meetings.
A dream job you secretly wanted but never got?
I'm happy with what I'm doing.
What's a habit or a pet peeve that your wife Parul or your colleagues and bosses would all agree about you?
I'm too much focused on putting things in order. I can't withstand chaos.
One thing that's been on your personal to-do list for the longest time?
To run.
A song that you often hum in the car?
किसी की मुस्कुराहटों पे हो निसार, किसी का दर्द मिले तो ले सके उधार, जीना इसी का नाम है.
The 3 most used apps on Nilesh's phone?
WhatsApp, Twitter, and the third one will be Money Control.
Your favorite binge watch till date?
I actually like Suits.
Favorite book you've ever read?
Mahabharat.
Investing lessons with Warren Buffett or an India-Pak match?
India-Pak match. Hopefully India should be winning.
If you had a gigantic billboard out there, Nilesh, what would the message be to millions and why?
Don't bet against India.
Called a cappuccino without sugar.
Problem.
Yeah.
This is fine.
Anything to eat for you?
No.
Like a upma, something should I call for? There's amazing money downstairs.
Would you buy breakfast हमेशा जोर से करें